Buchecha calmly entering the mat.
Buchecha looking ready, so much on the line.
People would tell he's better than me because the only time we fought, I didn't get close to submit him, and he almost got my arm.
Others in deep trouble right now.
I can't finish my career with that. I'm like, I have to fight him. If I lose this fight, I'm the second best forever, and that could not happen. That fight, it was very important because I knew I was like 36. I'm in the end of my career. I stopped competing for many years. I got back because I wanted to fight him again because the first fight we had, it was a draw, but it got stuck in my throat because of the arm. It's a submission only match, and I didn't get close to submit him many times, and he almost got my arm. So for me, it was like, that's a moral defeat because, if you, who got closer to submit the other one? He did. And I got tired super fast in that match. So it's like I was not happy with my performance. I couldn't perform well. For me, it was a bad fight. So it's like, I can't. And he just won, the 10th World Championship. So it's like people were already saying, he's better than Roger. I knew he was going to win more titles because he was still very young. So like he's going to pass my 10 titles. And people would tell he's better than me because the only time we fought, I didn't get close to submit him. And I had to struggle with that arm lock. So for me, I had something stuck in my throat. I'm like, okay, I can't finish my career with that. I'm like, I have to fight him. So I knew it was a big fight because if I lose this fight, I'm the second best forever. And that could not happen. So I'm walking in like I normally do, tried not to think in anything. By then, it's like you're trying to keep your mind as clear as you can. There's no point. Nothing can be analyzed at that moment. And the more you try to think, more your heart would accelerate, get you on your nerves. So for me, it was like, I have my strategy. I know what I have to do. And let's go. Now it's time to implement that. He comes in very fast. Every fight he goes, he always starts in a fast speed. So I'm like, okay, the first 5 minutes, I'm going to play a defensive game. I'm not going to attack. I want to save my energy. I know he's going to try to attack me. He's going to try to take me down. I didn't expect him to pull guard. So I'm like, I don't think he will. So I'm like, I was already accepting if something goes bad on the first 5 minutes. I'm still going to stay calm. I'm not going to bring my pace up. I'm just going to accept that I got a score or got taken down, and I'll still play a slow game. So I wouldn't match his pace any point of the first 5 minutes. So, if you look, that's exactly what happened. I did one attempt to take him down. I was all defensive. All my grips was more to neutralize his attacks, and I let him come. That's exactly what happened. He tried to attack me over and over again. He went to my legs many times.
Buchecha going down low into the wrestling stance. He's been working a lot of wrestling with Jacob Harmon there in Long Beach at Church Boys Wrestling. And he's got such an explosive shot. His takedowns are so fast, so quick. Roger's takedown game is very different. He trained at the Budokai, the second oldest judo gym in the world there in London, England. And his a very much of a classical style of judo. Whereas there you see a double.
The first attempt.
Yep. Going in for the single leg there was Buchecha for the little knee pick.
His takedown is good, but mainly his legs attack are very powerful. But not all the other throws. So I wasn't too concerned of being taken down, getting caught with a normal throw. So all my grips, I knew he was looking for my left leg. When he shoots for single, he likes to grab the left leg. So I kept the leg always back, always trying to grab his hand. I knew if I control his hand, he couldn't shoot against the legs. So it was almost like a wrestling match in a way with the gi. I'm positioned to defend the legs. You see constantly me going for his arms. And he got some good attempts. He some single legs.
Buchecha is doing a good job blocking that.
Going for another.
Single leg.
Going for the single leg. Good defense there from Roger. Wow, driving hard is Buchecha, almost off the edge of the
Almost
mat.
got it.
The fight will stop. I mean, he just did a big effort to take me down. I mean, I did a much less effort to defend. So as soon as the referee says stop, I would walk straight to the middle of the match. And he would walk around to try to catch his breath. You know, and I was like, I wanted to make sure he knows I'm like ready and he has to rest. So, you know, that you can play against someone's mind. You know, it's like, I'm not ready. I have to catch my breath. And the other guy's there staring at me, you know, telling me he's ready. So, and, I mean, I'm trying to save as much energy as I can. You know, you see my body, my stance. I'm trying to stay as relaxed as I can, breathing, keeping my arms very relaxed. You know, you see my left arm is on his grip, so I'm doing like a left hand grip. Because if I grab the collar, that kind of blocks the body a little bit. If you try to shoot for the legs, it's kind of a shoot. You know, we to kind of hold him back a little bit. You know, he's shooting for the legs. I'm pushing his head down to play against his posture, so he won't stay comfortable holding that leg. You know, like very typical. If you see, you know, I pause, I look at him, and I walk straight back to the middle. I think he's trying to catch his breath to see he's going like all the way around. You know, every time he shoot, you saw me, I was like pushing his head down, you know, to not let him get a strong position against my leg. Because if the person is attacking the single leg, and if you can play against his posture, like he has to use a lot of effort holding that leg to try to take it down. I think that's what I try to use, you know, let him, you know, burn himself out, holding my leg and try to take me down. So up to that point, I allowed him to kind of push me. So, you know, because I'm staying very relaxed, so I didn't resist much against his advance, you know, come pushing. You know, I'm accepting being pushing back, accepting the attacks. I remember when, you know, it was 10 minutes, you know, you saw I just looked at the clock. Now it's like 10 minutes, you know, 5 minutes gone. So I'm like, okay, now, you know, let me start picking up the pace a bit more. So it's small things, but, you know, suddenly like I start resisting his body. I didn't let him push me anymore. I stopped being more aggressive on the exchanging of the grips. So at that point now, I'm like, okay, now I'm looking for something. You know, when 5 minutes now is more that. I say, okay, now I'm going to start looking for my attacks. But then I felt him, I mean, big, you know, heavy. I'm like, if I try to take him down, I'm going to need a lot of effort. I'm like, it's 10 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull guard.
That's interesting. You see that they've both got belt grips.
There we go.
Oh, Roger
pull
pulls
guard.
guard. He had the foot on the hip. Buchecha's got the knee up.
So I got a good grip. So I'm like, I'm not going to spend my energy on the takedown, because that will take a lot out of my cardio. So you know, there's a lot of head fighting there. Yeah. So just before the 5 minutes mark, you know, I felt him very aggressive up to that point, you know, with the takedowns, trying to shoot for my legs, you know, with the hand fighting. And like I'll say, just from the last time he shot it, I felt he kind of slowing down a little bit. He was a bit less aggressive in the grip exchange. You know, he stopped pushing me around a little bit. And the moment that I start picking up the pace, almost like I felt him like trying to catch his breath, he's slowing down, because, you know, he just tried to take me down for 5 minutes and he couldn't. So it's like, okay, how much more I'm going to persist on the same thing that's not working? So I think that kind of messed up with his strategy a little, because there's like, okay, now what? You know, he clearly didn't want to pull guard. And then now, you know, the moment that I pull guard, I pull to the, you know, the type of kind of guard I like to do when people avoid the close guard. You always keep their knee between your legs, just, you know, to not to let you close the guard. So which he did exactly that, which I expected. But the way his body is completely defensive, I knew he was trying to grab my foot. So you can see I'm like holding two in one on his arm, because the first fight we had the same position. I wasn't holding his arm and he turned to attack my foot. You know, he actually, you know, he got a foot lock in. So, I saw him attempting to that, so I kept holding his arm. But he kept too defensive. His body was completely disengaged from mine. So I had nothing holding me. And so I suddenly, because I felt too free, I came up. I was allowed to come up when he was still on his knees, which is, if he kept his body slightly more on me, then I'm stuck. I cannot freely come up. It's a big effort to stand up. But because he was sitting back, I felt at that point like he's zero threat, like he's completely defensive. Okay, he's trying to attempt to attack the foot, but he's not really engaging into the fight much. That's the impression I had. I'm like, he felt very uncomfortable being in that position, and he's like completely defensive instead of trying to, either to pass or to get a better situation inside the guard. So the moment that I come up and now I have the sweep, now I have the sweep and I'm holding his arm. So he can't base on the floor to get out, to come up or to get out of that situation. So I was able to trap it about his knees. With that arm, I won't let go because he won't have a base on the floor. So I keep, I'm keeping his left arm. So that means his body is down. So he can't, it's very difficult for him to come up because he doesn't have that hand on the floor. So that's what I use to keep him down. I try, if you see, I attempt to get the hook in. I went off balance slightly and then I say, oh, I'm falling. I push myself back. And at that moment, I think what happened, I'm trying to analyze his point of view. He's in a bad position inside my guard. I just swept him. He's trying to get out. He can't because I'm holding the arm, so he kind of stuck. So he's in a position that he's not, he can't escape. And suddenly, there's a big threat of me attacking his back. He comes up. He completely opened up the hooks for me to put in. Usually it's a big fight to get hooks in against anyone, right? You avoid the bat. So it's not, how many times you see people putting both hooks in at the same time? Never happens because people defend the hook. So when they defend, you have to put one at a time. Put one and then you work, you try to put the second one after that. So with him, you'll see at this point on, he would just gonna try to come up.
He's gonna get the 2 points. He got it.
Put in
Hook.
Buchecha
Put in the
into
hook.
the
No, there's no hook.
Oh, he's got
my
the
God.
back. That is the 2 hooks.
going
That's
for the
4
back.
points for Buchecha.
He's crossing.
See how, the hooks they got in because he came up. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think the reason that he did that, he's a big guy. Big guy, you used to shake people off, right? It's very common, someone on his, his stance is like 100, maybe 110 kilos, or, sometimes he weighs even more. He always around that weight. If you're 110, man, you shake people off easy, right? It's like, with that size, you come in, you throw people off you. I think, you fight the way you used to train. I think that's exactly what happened. He probably did that a few times and he shook people off. He tried to do that with me straight away. I put the both hooks in and immediately my hand got into the neck. So I'm not just, he opened himself to everything. So you see, I have both hooks in and my hand is already on his neck. And at that point, his hand is still not defending the choke. In a fight situation, the thing that you want to protect the most is a submission. It doesn't matter if you're going to get points or not. Like you need to sacrifice, you cannot sacrifice, getting tapped out for points. You lose a fight, points you can still recover. Submission, you out. So I have my hand on his neck and he's looking for hooks. So, I just felt he was like lost. At that point, he's like, I'm losing. I got 2 points on the back. He kind of lost focus in that fight. Then he started mistake after mistake. I think he lost concentration. That must have been because he did like too many silly mistakes which, you know, on his level, I mean, he doesn't do that. You know, I haven't seen him doing that before. So that shows, you know, mentally you kind of, you know, you lost. You kind of lost in that fight. So that's exactly what happened. You know, you see, look, I'm adjusting the collar, and I mean, at no moment he came in to try to defend the collar. I mean, you know, he's trying to push the arm, but that's like, you know, you're defending after. That's a defense after the collar is in. I mean, and then he tapped.
Excuse me, Roger on the close. Buchecha looks very
He's gonna get it!
He's
Amazing!
has submitted Marcus Buchecha in 7
That's
minutes.
amazing!
I think a really cool moment of this match that I like watching is actually this moment right here, because you're always so stoic and you don't let people kind of see your emotions when you're competing. But then this was just an awesome moment where they're picking you up, everyone's cheering, everyone's running onto the mat. You see Hinzo run out there. What was that moment like right after the match?
I mean, satisfaction, you know, it's like happiness, you know, I've done it. Like, you know, it's like I've trained super hard for this fight, you know, like I think my whole legacy was at stake. You know, I knew if I lost that fight, I would be like number 2. But if I won, then I would establish myself as, you know, as number 1. And I'm like, I know that was probably the last fight of my career. If I win, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to keep competing. I think I've done enough. I'm gonna, you know, I have other goals now. So it's, I mean, satisfaction, I have to say. You know, I was very happy after that.
Roger Gracie just showing why he will always be remembered as one of the all-time greatest jiu-jitsu competitors.